G'day legends, I hope that you're doing well. Now before we have a look at the map, we're going to talk about a little bit of news. Now today there was some talk that Ukraine could possibly be ready to negotiate on Crimea. Andrew Sabihi, deputy head of the President's office, has been quoted by the Financial Times as saying, "If we will succeed in achieving our strategic goals on the battlefield and when we will be on the administrative border with Crimea, we are ready to open a diplomatic page to discuss this issue." Although he did add, it doesn't mean that we exclude the way of liberation, talking about Crimea, by our army. Rear Admiral Tim Woods of the British Defence Attaché in Washington has said on Wednesday that Crimea would need a political solution because of just the concentration of force that is there and what it would mean for the Ukrainians to go in there. He added, "I don't think there's going to be a very quick military solution. Hence, we need to see what are the favourable conditions for Ukraine to negotiate, and I think Ukraine would be up for that." Now, this is definitely in contrast to some previous statements we've seen by Ukrainian officials. One way or another, this war will come to a diplomatic end. Territory is the big question of this. The sad thing is, wherever this border will lay, whether it's pre or post 2014 or redrawn, we don't know. What we do know is that hundreds of thousands will lay dead in the dirt. So let's have a look at the maps. Now today we don't have a deep state map. I've waited as long as I can to make a video and it hasn't updated. Sometimes it just doesn't. So we'll have a look at Bakhmut. So this is Bakhmut here as of the 5th or the 6th of April, depending on where you are in the world. Now we'll talk about a few things. What I do have though is a screenshot of the map from yesterday from my video. So if we come in here, what we can see is this pocket remains the same, although this northern flank has stepped out in this box here. So this box has stepped out slightly, but the remaining, at least according to the ISW, looks very similar. What is different is just to the northeast of Kromove, where you'll see this green dot has stepped out. And the ISW is saying that there has been some territorial change there from Russia. What we'll also have a look at is this road through Ivanovsky. This video is said to be from that road, and you can just see the conditions here. So this is on top of some sort of armoured fighting vehicle coming through here, and you can just see the mud on this vehicle and littered with different vehicles. This vehicle with medical Red Cross on it has had some level of frontal impact as well. So you can just see this road, but I do know that this road is completely under fire control, although I have talked to people, that have said that it is somewhat usable, although we know Russia is pushing right up onto it near this MiG statue here, and it is definitely within a lot of controlled area or becoming controlled area. And also we'll compare the Rybar map to this as well. Now, it is showing a very, very similar picture. So in the north, it's showing it's maybe stepped out. We use this base in the north. If anything, the Rybar is actually saying that the Russian forces are further to the north, and this is still area under the fighting. But as far as the rest of Bakhmut, it is looking fairly similar. It would be great if I could get it without some of these symbols, but that is, we get what we get, but it is showing very similar. So if we take this road that steps out to the east, and then these three steps out to the east, these three, and it looks like it's one up. So it's there, and this same small pocket in here. But the city council building is said to be taken, as well as the prosecutor's office. Zelensky has spoken about Bakhmut today, saying, "We are in Bakhmut, and the enemy does not control it." Although he did hint that Ukraine could pull out of Bakhmut if there's threat of being surrounded. Now, I think this threat has been ever present for a while now. He says, "For me, the most important is not to lose our soldiers. And of course, if there is a moment of even hotter events and the danger we could lose our personnel because of encirclement, of course, the corresponding correct decisions will be taken by the generals there." So let's go down to Avdiivka and have a look, as we know there has been some fierce fighting in this region, and see if we can see any major changes. Now, if we go to the Rybar map and see what is showing different. So it is showing that on this main road here that Ukraine does, or at least there is grey zone to the east side, which is in here, and it is showing a fairly similar picture. This is where the deep state is good, because you can go forward and backwards through these events as it happens, and then we can compare each one. But as well, this isn't available for us today. These maps are not looking too dissimilar from each other, although you can see to the northeast of Pomovsky, there is some more ground being claimed by the Russian forces. But one thing I just want to have a look at, just to take the piss out of, is look on the live UA map. Now, bloody ads everywhere as usual. Let's zoom in here if we can, if we'll load, and just have a look at Bakhmut. And so they're showing these icons on the map of where things have been hit, but they haven't shown any of the step up across the Bakhmutka at all, and that we know that in this region here, the leader of Wagner, Prigozhin, was in this region. So it definitely lags behind, and I think this can be dangerous for a number of reasons. And then if we go to Avdiivka, not even the Rybar map is showing at all. So if we look here, it is not showing similar. Also, the UK MOD has released another intelligence update for the 5th of April. So on the 28th of March 2023, Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin said that a move to issuing some of Russia's sovereign debt in foreign currencies was under development. The move is almost certainly an indication that Russia anticipates external financial support from foreign states it deems friendly. Once the development is completed, investors from other countries will be able to purchase Russia's sovereign debt and therefore finance some of Russia's future budget shortfalls. Such investors would be indirectly financing Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This sentence has copped a lot of flack, saying indirectly, with people saying, no, it is directly. But they continue. In recent months, Russia's own banks have been the main entities purchasing Russian state debt. However, they are unlikely to have the capacity to fully fund anticipated future budget deficits. Russian officials likely see external debt issuance as one way to plug gaps in Russia's finances as they plan for a long war in Ukraine. However, it remains unclear whether Russia will succeed in implementing the measures. Russia is currently the head of the United Nations Security Council, being one of 5 permanent members. Over the past 24 hours, Britain has actually blocked a UN webcast of an informal Security Council meeting about evacuating children from a conflict zone on Wednesday, as Russia's Commissioner for Children's Rights, Maria Lvova-Belova, who the ICC, the International Criminal Court, wants to arrest on war crime charges, was actually due to speak. Spokesperson for Britain's United Nations mission in New York has said she should not be offered the UN platform to spread disinformation. If she wants to give an account of her actions, she can do so in The Hague. In response, Russia's Deputy UN Ambassador Dmitry Polonsky wrote on Twitter, Russia will from now on block UN webcasts of all similar meetings, citing UK censorship clause. Diplomats have said that it is rare for a UN webcast to be blocked. Personally, I think censorship is a bad thing of any type, and to be fair, this gave a lot of fuel to conspiracies and other misleading information as well. Also, Poland will provide Ukraine with more MiG-29 fighter jets. These fighter jets are already being used in Ukraine, and it went from the initial 4 to now 14. Now, also, we know Zelensky has wanted to talk to China's President Xi after his visit to Moscow. Now, Fu Kong, China's ambassador to the EU, has said that statements about no-limit friendship between China and Russia are nothing but continuing, saying the government believes the root causes are more complicated, referring to the invasion. Continues, I know people are focused on the presidential call. The fact that President Xi is not speaking to Zelensky does not signify that China is on one side of Russia on the Ukrainian issue. This comes after Macron has said that China is the sole country in the world capable of changing Moscow's calculus on Ukraine. In the words of an official from the French president's office, China is the only country in the world capable of having an immediate and radical impact on the conflict in one direction or the other. We know China is by far Russia's most powerful friend, and they're a global superpower, but they have not been confirmed yet to actually be providing lethal aid to Russia. And if China did come out of their neutral status, we'll call it, and pick a side, it would absolutely change this war's landscape and how it continues forward. But legends, that's it for today. I hope you're looking after yourself. If you'd like to support me, there's links below, but never feel obliged. So look after yourselves, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.